What was the first miracle of Christ? Do you remember? According to the Gospel of St. John, it is the wedding feast, right? The wedding feast at Cana of Galilee when he turned water into wine, right? That's the first miracle. And because it's the first miracle, there's an enormous body of theology that comes from it. Most of us who are students of Christianity or religion in particular understand that first things matter, okay? The first thing that happens in a strain is critical. Well, what was the first miracle or the bedrock miracle of Islam? It was the Battle of Badr, B-A-D-R. Quick thumbnail sketch, about 1,000 Meccans were coming to hunt down and kill Muhammad and his followers, about 300 of them. Muhammad and his followers had about 100 camels and 2 horse, and if my memory is correct, the Meccans had about 300 cavalry. It should have been the Meccans destroying the Muslims. Well, the night before, and this is the first battle, by the way. This is the first battle. The Battle of Badr is the turning point when Muhammad went from being a peaceful promoter and preacher of his religion to somebody who he believed God had now given him permission to use the sword, to fight, okay? Everyone who died at the Battle of Badr was immediately considered a martyr. Muhammad prayed, and he said that the Lord showed him, God showed him where certain people would die. And against these incredible odds, the Muslims won. And some of the elite leaders of Mecca were killed. And it terrified the Meccans. And it was a confirming miracle to Muhammad that he was, in fact, the messenger of God, sent by God to speak this new religion, to correct the errors of time, to fix what the Jews got wrong and the Christians got wrong, and to use the sword to do it. Okay? Fast forward about 1,300 years, almost 1,400 years, when al-Zarqawi cuts the head of Nicholas Berg off, okay? One of the first horrific filmed decapitations, beheadings. Al-Zarqawi says that Allah has given us an example in the blessed prophet with the slow cutting of the prisoners' necks at Badr. So we see al-Zarqawi is seeing himself inside of this narrative of Muhammad's life. And it's not enough that they just cut the people's heads off. It's that they slowly cut them. And there's references to cutting off their heads like you would cut off the head of a dog or cut off the head of an animal. The slow cutting of the prisoners' necks. He said, this is the example that God gave us in the person of Muhammad. And as a good Muslim, I want to be like Muhammad. He is the best example of what a Muslim is and what a Muslim does and how a Muslim behaves. So I want to be like him. And so these devout Muslims, following the narrative of Muhammad, of Badr, quoting Muhammad, when Christ returns, he will kill the pig, he'll break the cross and kill the pig. They see themselves inside of this narrative of God's one true prophet, Muhammad, and they want to imitate him. Al-Zarqawi wanted to imitate Muhammad and what Muhammad did and what Muhammad said. So these people slowly cut the necks of their prisoners like they did at the Battle of Badr, the first miracle, when God showed by a miraculous military victory that Muhammad was the true prophet. And if we want to be like Muhammad, if we want to get close to the very origins of Islam, then we must imitate him, believe his words, quote his words, and do what he did, which involves cutting off the heads of prisoners slowly. It's about Muhammad, people. The question that the devout Muslim asks, and the question that these poor, lost, misguided souls at the White House or in the media won't ask, the question is this: what would Muhammad do? I have been a leader in the pro-life movement for 30 years, and sadly we have not prevailed in our goal to make it a criminal act to kill an unborn baby. There's reasons why we have failed. I wrote this book, A Humble Plea, to Catholic bishops, to evangelical clergy, and to lay people, explaining where we went wrong and what we have to do to prevail. We've made this available as a PDF online for free. I encourage you to go and download your own copy. Why does a nice guy like me keep getting thrown in jail? I have been arrested almost 50 times and spent over a year of my life locked up in various prison facilities. And I wrote a book, many books. In fact, one of them is called, Why Does a Nice Guy Like Me Keep Getting Thrown in Jail? It's a theological work, answering those who say that the church should not be involved in politics or that we should retreat. I encourage you to get it. In fact, get one and give it to your pastor.